Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome to today's stream. Let's see how our audio sounds. Oh, unfortunately, we've got bad weather. So again, we're streaming inside, not hitting balls. But that is okay. It's great to have some time to do this. Julian's in here. Hey, Julian. Hello, little lady. You don't usually make an appearance till later on. Hi. You came to be a superstar for the people? Yeah? Said it's doggo time. It's doggo time. It's doggo time. Alright, guys. So, hey, Sycamore's in here. What's up, Sycamore? What are we going to be doing today? We are going to grab our extremely official score tracker. Let's get a quick update on the sub number so we can track that too. 28.56. Crazy, guys. Crazy. Thank you so much for all the support. All right, and then we are also going to keep track of how many 5-footers in a row we can make. And as always, guys, we will be answering your questions. Does that show up on the screen? There he is. Hey, Julian. What's up, my dude? So, unfortunately, we've got bad weather again today, guys. So, I am going to be hitting some putts, but we'll have time. We've got our clubs here, so if you have questions or drills that you want to run through, we can definitely do some of that as well. Enjoy your live, John. Going to sleep. It's 10:30 already. Oh, wow. Yes, it certainly is. Well, anyway, Julian, I appreciate you being here. Thanks for saying hi, even though it's late in the day for you. I appreciate that. So, yeah, that's the plan, guys. We're still dealing with this big, nasty hole in my finger, too, which is not very fun. So, yeah, we're going to hit some putts, run through some drills, see what kind of topics come up in the chat. Let's get into it, guys. Oh, let me see if this is actually even visible. No, not really. Golf on. We'll look at it tomorrow. Very cool, Julian. I appreciate you. Swing's looking good, Julian. Keep up the hard work. All right, 1 for 1. Good way to start your day. Right down the middle, putt number 2. Nice. We've got these indoor tees set up as a bit of a gate, right, to make sure that we are keeping that putter nice and square to the path on the way back, right? We don't want to get too far outside or inside. Love that. Trying to feel, at least, for me, like there's no hit in the ball at all. Like I'm really just letting the putter drop on the back of it, nice and smooth. There's no acceleration happening into the ball. Rusirk said golf guy. Hey, what's up, Rusirk? Thanks, Julian. Sycamore says, I'm losing my grip at the top. Your thoughts would be appreciated. So when you say losing your grip, do you mean like the club is loosening in your hands, it feels like, or the face is twisting? Tell me a little bit more, Sycamore, what you're experiencing, because that's a new one for me. Love it. Feels like the kind of day we could go on a really good streak, guys. We made 79 in a row on the last stream. Again, we've just got a pretty simple 5-foot putt here that's already been aimed for us. But really good to just get the reps in, practice starting the ball on our intended line, see the ball go in the hole. And we get to do that while we hang out with you guys. So that's pretty cool. Distraction time! Distraction time! You gotta be able to fight through it. Still made that one for 10 in a row, guys. Hi, baby girl. Hi. I know. You wanna say hi? You wanna say hi to the people? You wanna be a superstar? I know you are. You are. Thank you. Thank you. That's good kissing. Thank you. Thank you. I know. The people love the doggos. The people love the doggos. Drop a like for the doggos. I know. I know. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. Okay. Alright, guys. So we are going to update our extremely official score tracker to 10. 10 in a row. First streak of the day. I might try a new challenge, something like, can we stream for 30 days in a row or something like that. Nice. There's something special, I think, about these lab putters. Not sponsored, they're not paying me to say that. It feels different. It feels really, really stable. Kind of like my hands can't hold the grip and come loose. All right, Sycamore, well, that's a unique kind of issue, but can you, a couple more questions. When you grip the club, do you feel like you're gripping it very loosely or very tightly? That could be a helpful thing to understand as I try to answer your question. But generally speaking, right, when we grip the club, we want to have this left hand on top here, right, where you can see, at least 3 knuckles, I like to see. We've got the shaft leaning a little bit towards the target. Right, this V between my index finger and my thumb is pointed at my right shoulder. And then when I put my right hand on the club, again, gripping the club in my fingers, not in the palm, in my fingers, right? This V is also pointed at that right shoulder, right? And if you've built a fundamentally sound grip and you're applying enough force, right? You can't let the club like slide out of your hands, but give it some grip. It should stay pretty stable in your hands throughout the swing. It's kind of like my hands can't hold the grip and come loose. You could also, if your grips are very old, you can wash them, right? Sometimes they get slick because of, sweat and dirt, grime that gets in there over time, over years of play, putting them in and out of a golf bag. You can use like some Dawn detergent and some hot water, just rub them down and get some of that oil and grease out of there, and you get a little bit tackier, like a easy way to refresh your grips. That can be a good one. You could try a different glove, right? If you feel like a glove that you have or that you use isn't adequately helping the club stay in your hands, you could definitely give that a try. Those are my thoughts on that. Mercer, what do you particularly like about the lab putter? So what I like a lot, to answer your question, is just how stable the face feels, right? It feels like if I line it up right and I swing it, on this line, right, which is on a slight arc, then every single time it feels like the face is coming back square. Hey, Grant's in here. What's up, Grant? Bro, just go outside. Trust me, I wish I could, but there's bad weather today. So we are doing what we can to get better while we're inside. Can't control the weather, but we can control our attitude about it and what we do, you know, in with the situation that we're in, right? I could say, man, I really want to go out there and hit balls. I was going to live stream, do some drills, hit into the net. You know, I'm super disappointed I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do anything, right? That's one option. Or what I try to usually do is like, man, that's not what I thought was going to happen. You know, sometimes things don't go according to plan and you have to adjust and say, okay, well, what can I now do with the time I had to try and get better? So here we are, and I appreciate you guys hanging out and answering some questions. In your experience, do you think it's the shape? No, I don't. I think it's this zero torque thing. However, they figured out a way to keep the face square to the lie angle, right? Which is why they fit you for, you know, how upright or flat the putter is, right? That's what I think makes this the club face feel extremely stable, right? Because this is what I used for a long time. This Red Spider Tour, great putter. But again, it just, you know, once you've tried this one, it's hard to go back to this and say like, oh man, yeah, it feels the same. It doesn't feel the same. I think the shape is more about the MOI than anything. It is an extremely forgiving putter, right? You can hit this thing like way out on the toe, way out on the heel, and still get, you know, a really good, close to 100% of the intended distance, right? That's the idea. Sycamore says medium type of pressure. David said, show me the way. I'll show you the way, David. Hit that subscribe button. We'll show you the way. This is for 15 in a row. So here, I'll show you. I can hit some, like, let me move these. I'll hit a couple, like, way out of the heel. You can feel it. You know, it gives you good feedback in terms of where you hit it on the face. But it's still really, like, it starts on line. It rolls, like, it feels like it's going about as hard as I wanted it to. But I'm not an expert, right? I'm just a guy who bought one and really likes it. And, you know, am constantly trying to get better, make more putts. Shoot the best scores I possibly can. All right. This is for 20 in a row, guys. Okay, a little firm, but caught the right edge. This, the extremely official scoreboard tracker. We're going to update it to 20 in a row, guys. And if you're a new subscriber, like if you see the stream and you say, hey, this is kind of cool, I want to subscribe and check this out again, or watch this guy actually play golf, or, you know, watch videos about tips from John, hit that subscribe button. Let me know in the chat. We can update the counter on the subscribers as well. That's always fun. Sometimes people like getting a shout out, saying like, hey, I'm new subscriber, shout me out. Update the tracker. I didn't believe in putter technology until I used the DF3. Have you tested the lighter head on the Link? I've not tested any of the other ones. Well, I shouldn't say that. I spent most of last year putting with a broomstick that was a Mez 1 Max, the more square one. And again, it was super good inside 10 feet. Paul wanted to start online, it felt like. But I just, with the broomstick, I had terrible speed control. I could not figure it out really for an entire season. Great input, thank you. Ario said hi. Hey, Ario. Doty Vision stopping by to say what's up. Currently working. Thanks very much. I appreciate you stopping by to say hi. Ario said, what is the best putter grip? Well, the best putter grip is the one that works best for you. I will say I have recently gone back to putting left-hand low with a lot of success. For me, that kind of levels out my shoulders and allows me to consistently strike the center of the face, which is something I was struggling with a bit when I was putting with a more traditional grip. This reverse overlap like this is how I had also putted for quite a while. But historically, like, you know, throughout my golfing life, I spent a lot of time putting left-hand low. It's something I'm quite comfortable with. It's definitely worth a shot. If you've tried some of the more traditional putter grips without success, it's an easy way to, you know, see if your body likes doing something differently on the putting green. See if you have any better results using a new grip. Ever tested arm walk? I've tested it like very briefly, you know, on a practice putting green when there were a bunch of arm walk putters there to try and use, but did not really fall in love with it. Again, my issue is more with speed control than anything. So a putter like this is going to be forgiving on mishits to still try and get, you know, the desired distance out of it on a bad putt. That's really what I was going for. Maria said hi. Hey Maria, what is the most stable putter grip? I don't know about stable, you know, as a way to you could measure it maybe. Doty Vision said, I hope you hit a 300 streak this stream. Thanks very much. As you guys can see, our record on the stream is 208 from this distance. And this is for 27, so ways to go yet. That was honestly a pretty special performance, it felt like, the other night. If you guys were there and caught the 208 makes in a row. Boom. I think arm lock should be the most foolproof way of putting. Take the left hand out entirely. Yeah, I like the idea of it. I just couldn't get it to feel right for me. But certainly, I mean, Bryson's tested everything, and that's what he ended up with. I will say, back before it got banned, I had used the belly putter with a lot of success, right? The one that you could anchor into your body. We're not allowed to do that anymore, obviously, but it's a similar idea with the arm lock. All right, guys, 30 in a row to start your day. How about a like for 30 in a row? I totally hear you if you're like, hey, I'm not subscribing until it gets to a real number like 50 or something, or 100. That's fine, but drop a like for 30 in a row. How much did your indoor setup cost? Great question, Grant. So this was all done quite affordably. The ball return, this, you know, plastic piece with the little strip, that's just a cheap one from the internet. I think I got it on Amazon, although I would suggest you not shop there. I don't anymore. This green, you know, artificial turf carpet was just like a 3x8 piece from Home Depot or Lowe's. That's, you know, maybe $30. This was like $30. The well putt mat, this is like 50, I think. And the Pels tutor, which is somewhere, that's maybe like 30 or 40. But again, this is very simple. You don't even need like a ball return. You could do really well improving your stroke with just one of these mats and a Pels tutor and just start practicing rolling some balls along your intended target line, like I have here, right? And the Pels tutor sits in the well stroke mat, right? It's a little tray, and it has ball bearings that create a gate, right? So you get instant feedback as to whether or not you hit the ball on your target line. Fair, I use the same DF3. Haha. Sycamore says, got to get back to cutting grass at the lake property. See you and thank you. Thanks for being here, Sycamore. Andrew says, why don't you shop Amazon? I think I found that I can get everything I need without having to support that company. I don't think like consumerism is a great idea. This idea of like, well, you know what's the most important thing? We can get you stuff the very same day you buy it. We can get it next day. We can get it 2-day shipping. Well, like, do you actually need that stuff in the first place? Plus, like, you know, Jeff Bezos has enough of our money. Billionaires are not your friend, guys. If you want to talk about that stuff, I'll talk about it all day long. But it's not going to be like Republicans and Democrats or, you know, blah, blah, blah. Like, it's all a lie, right? We've all just been sold this lie by rich people to allow them to continue pilfering our labor. You know, cutting services and support for veterans and old people, you know, so that we can give tax breaks to people who don't need them. Hey, Paul's here. What's up, Paul? I am doing well. I appreciate you being here. Alex said you save 100% when you don't buy anything at all. Absolutely right, Alex. It's not a deal if you weren't planning to buy something in the first place, right? All right, guys. That's 39. Let's see if we can make 40 in a row with our new DF3. Look at this, guys. It's like a branding iron or a soup ladle, I've heard it called. But I'll tell you what, it can roll a golf ball. Doesn't have to be pretty. This is for 40 in a row. Here we go. Nice. Right in the center. We'll update our official tracker. Bill is here. Bill said, yo. What's up, Bill? Thanks for being here. Guys, I'm telling you. You want to be legit on YouTube? You want to be like a you know, successful streamer? Get yourselves an extremely official scoreboard like this, all right? This is self-production at its finest. And if you're ever wondering, like, man, you know, there must be this crazy high hurdle to start making content on YouTube, and it doesn't have to be about golf, it could be about anything, right? I would tell you guys, you know, we're at almost 3,000 subscribers and just hit 3 million views. All of it has been done with just a tripod and my phone and a mobile video editor called Power Director, right? There's no team here. Oh, he said the mic's cutting out. Hopefully that's better. Tell me, Big Willie, if it's back. Sorry about that. Yeah, guys, there's no fancy team. There's no, you know, crazy software, AI editing stuff, right? It's just me and my phone, you know, trying to make stuff that's interesting and funny and cool, and talk about things I care about. So it is really that simple if you want to get started. It's been a really fun journey. You know, imagine starting basically from scratch, right? I've recorded my swing over the years to try and improve, but never in the sense of like, well, can I make this interesting or compelling? You know, what kinds of things would I talk about? Like, you know, how do I make content? All this stuff, you know, I'm trying to learn in real time, and it's been super fun. There's been a ton of support from the community, right? All you guys, you know, gassing me up, telling me to keep doing more of this stuff. You know, it's only been, what, 6-7 months, and we're cruising towards 3,000 subscribers. Just started an Instagram. That's been pretty fun. In hindsight, I might have started Instagram at the same time and just done them both simultaneously. But again, you know, we're starting from scratch. There was no team or plan here. This is just, you know, me wanting to do something creative, and it's been super rewarding, honestly. You know, everything from people coming back to the live stream to say, hey, dude, I tried those drills and my swing is better. Like, I played better golf because you gave me a good drill and it fixed my slice. To everything from that to, like, you know, I was struggling with drinking and you inspired me to, like, try to change my life, right? So those are, you know, two ends of the spectrum, right? But that's kind of the impact that it can have, and for me, that's been super, super rewarding. Plus, it has the added benefit of, you know, compelling me or inspiring me to continue working on my game, trying to get better, right? Because if I go and practice, that gives me something to talk about, something to make content about. Like I was saying a minute ago, when I was like, I was bummed that the weather was bad. I couldn't stream outside and hit balls like I wanted to, but I said, hey, that's okay. We can go stream inside. We can still find a way to get better, make some content, do something interesting. Alex says, I've been listening to an audiobook version of Golf is Not a Game of Perfect. Do you do anything to give yourself a mental edge or a boost of confidence while on the course? It's a great question, Alex, and that's a great book. I listened to that audiobook recently as well. So I've been trying to do more of that stuff, as I felt like my scores have been held back by that to some extent, by my mental game, right? I get, if I make a bad swing or I hit a bad shot, I get frazzled and frustrated, and I'm like, oh, well, this one's, over, might as well mail it in. So the last couple of years, I've spent a lot of time reading those books, listening to podcasts, hearing people who have achieved, a high level of playing golf talk about, like, what are the things they do in their process? How do they prepare for tournament rounds? How do they respond to adversity, right? And I think the thing that has helped me the most, if this is interesting or helpful, is really just managing my expectations, right? Understanding what a good shot is, what a bad shot is. So when I hit a 9-iron from 150 yards on the green to 35 feet, right? Because I, pulled it a little or, misread the wind, right? But I still hit it on the green. Instead of being like, man, wish I hit it closer there, right? Because I only had a short club in or whatever. Well, that's a good result. If you hit it on the green from 150 yards, you should be like patting yourself on the back. You should be pumped. You're like, that's an awesome shot. So I have a great chance now to make par from out, 150 yards. I can just two-putt this. And on the greens, right? What's my objective? My goal is just to two-putt from basically everywhere outside of 10 feet. So for me, managing my expectations has been huge, right? Like when I played a qualifier at the beginning of this week, and I was giving myself after the round, right? I didn't make the cut. I missed it by a couple. I played okay. I played like 15 really good holes, like under par, and then had a couple doubles late in the round that were pretty frustrating. But even as that was going on, as I reflect on it, I gave myself a lot of credit for sticking with it, just again saying like, all right, we just have to hit every shot as best as we can. You can't change anything that's already happened. These are independent type of events, and we just try to, execute each opportunity, each shot the best that we can. And again, that goes to like managing your expectations. Bad shots are going to happen. And it allows you to mentally be a lot stronger, because you're like, I know I'm going to hit some bad shots. I'm going to get some bad breaks. I'm going to lip out some putts, that kind of thing, right? So when they do happen, you can, if you're expecting them, well, they're much easier to handle, right? Hey, Joshua's here. Do you have a favorite course you've played? My favorite course I've ever played, gosh, it's so tough. There's so many. I've been really fortunate to play a lot of really cool golf courses. Cabot Cliffs up in Nova Scotia is a super special one. Or, Cabot Links and Cabot Cliffs up there. Just because of the property. Butler National was an unbelievable experience in the Midwest. I played a lot of the top public courses, like Whistling Straits and Kiowa, a bunch of those, resort courses. Those are all really cool. Grant, can you chip it into the return? I could try. I can't promise you that I won't, like, blade it through my window. Oh, just barely overflew it. These are not going to count for the streak here, guys, which we're coming up on 50 now. Nope, short. It's quite a small target when you're trying to just dunk it from 4.5 feet away. Ah, see, now we go getting into the danger zone. We can come back, Grant, and try that. Try some more of those. Here, let's make sure. Oh, hi, doggo. Hi. You can say hi. You can help practice. You can help practice. You can help practice. Yeah. You say hi to the people. Say hi, people. I know. All right, guys. 3 more. We got to make for 50 in a row. scratch to scratch, yeah. Garvin said, nobody's taking advices from a guy like yourself. Well, I would give you some advice about your spelling, but I don't know if you would listen. It's okay, dude, to just say, like, hey, this isn't for me. Or, you know, I was taught that people with tattoos can't be trusted. Like, a little self-awareness would maybe go a long way. Boom, 50 in a row, guys. Look at that. Do you have Play La Cala? It's a golf course. I don't know it. Has your game improved over the last few weeks, and what would you say are your weaknesses? Great question, Paul. The tournament round I played, most of the, the bogeys and the two doubles that I had were because of the driver. And I think, if I'm being honest, that those were both strategic decisions, right? I didn't hit the drives well, but it also was, I think, because I knew, that I shouldn't have been hitting driver on those holes, especially in a qualifier, right? Like on a, 350-yard hole with fescue all down the left side. I'm like, oh, it's short. I can, hit driver up there by the front of the green. And it just was so unnecessary. And hitting the fescue, and made double on that hole. So I would say still, just I was super committed to, my strategy, my process for like the first 13 holes. And then I kind of fell into like, oh, it's just another round of golf. Let's just keep hitting the shots we hit in the practice round. So I think, if anything, like maintaining my mental, focus and commitment to my strategy late in rounds, that's always been something I've struggled with. I can't tell you how many rounds I've been like 2 under par through 15 holes just to come in with a 74. Norm said hi. Hey, Norm. Franklin, love that tattoos, bro. No homo. Thanks very much, dude. You don't have to say no homo. It's okay. You can just say, you're allowed to express love for other men in a non-sexual way. Like, I tell my friends I love them all the time now because, life is crazy. You never know what can happen. And, I think it started when I was riding motorcycles. People in that community are really good about telling people how they feel because, things happen to people all the time. So, tell your friends you love them if you do. Oh, that one broke just in time. Caught that right edge. Let's keep it rolling here, guys. Good. It's hard not to focus on the negatives, but I had a couple loose iron swings. But for the most part, my irons were really, really solid. Putter felt solid. I mean, I had 2 3 putts. One was, I think, because of the iron shot, and the other one was, maybe a little bit of trying to force the issue late in the round. Again, kind of, not being fully committed. Luke says, how to fix my slice with my driver. All right, great question, Luke. I got 5 more putts, and then we'll answer your question, so stick around. And if any of you out there are like, hey, I have a slice too. I'd love to know how to fix my slice. Well, I have an awesome drill that a bunch of people on the stream actually have done. We've demonstrated it. They come back, they say, dude, that drill was great. It really helped me fix my slice. I'm hitting a little draw now with the driver. I have to get some water here in a second too, guys. Important to stay hydrated. A lot of high temperatures going on all across the world, really. I think that's going to be something we have to get used to. But thank goodness that a few hundred oil executives get to continue being rich, right? The rest of us will just suffer. So that's 60 in a row. All right. So, Luke, I've got the drill for you. If you're struggling with a slice, what you're going to do is, let's say this is your golf ball, right? You're hitting it this way. You've got your driver out, right? what I want you to do is grab this head cover, and you're going to use this kind of behind and to the right of your golf ball, just like that, right? So if I'm hitting, I'm set up like this, right? What this is going to do, and let's back up for a second, right? What typically causes a slice? It's the face being open and the path being across, right? Imagine if you're like playing tennis or ping pong and you wanted to hit like a drop shot with a lot of spin, you kind of open the face and cut down and across it, right? That's what's happening when you're slicing it. You get that kind of high, spinny right shot. So a lot of that, for most players, stems from the takeaway, actually. And if the club head gets too inside this way, right, well, then you're kind of forced to loop it back over the top and come down and across it like that, right? So this drill is going to really help by blocking that outside path to the ball, right? So if you can learn to hit shots and not hit that head cover, right, this is going to force you to neutralize that path, get it more down your target line or even out to the right a little bit, right? You can do this at slow speed. You don't need to, swing 100% and be like, man, I'm still, I'm hitting the head cover. You can slow it down, right? Just start hitting them, try to hit some drives like 50, 60 yards, right? And just work on getting that path more neutral, because this is going to block your path to the ball, right? If you make that over the swing. So if you can learn to avoid that head cover and get the face closed or square, right, you should really see that ball start to straighten out or even drawing after impact. SSK said hi. Hey, SSK. Franklin says, what are some good tips to a top golfer that wants to go onto the course? What do you mean, Franklin? Do you mean are you new, like a new player? Paul says, my friend's a good golfer, but most of his bad golf comes from being annoyed with himself. He loses all concentration if his brain isn't on the job. Yeah, I think that's a good way to describe me at the moment, Paul. I feel very kind of calm and in control, and then I make a bad swing, and I'm like, oh man, here goes the whole round. So I've done an okay job of reining that in to some extent, and just being like, okay, you're gonna hit bad shots, we're gonna make bogeys. You gotta just try to avoid doubles and live to fight another day. And that's definitely helped. But no, I often think, and I'm told from other people that my scores are higher than my ball striking ability would kind of dictate. Like, I hit the ball better than the scores I can produce. Oh, a top golfer. Like Top Golf, the location, the driving range game place. Understood. Well, first of all, welcome, and I'm proud of you for saying, hey, I want to continue my journey in golf. I want to get out on a course, do something new, and challenge myself. 2 tips I would give you. Number 1 is just try to have fun. Understand that it's going to be something different and new, and you're going to have to deal with new experiences. Like, what's it like when I get to the golf course for the first time? Where do I go? Where do I put my clubs? How much time do I need? There's some great videos on YouTube about what to expect for first round. I'll maybe check some of those out. But number 1, just have fun and understand that you're putting yourself in a new position, and that can be scary and fun at the same time. And number 2 is just have a basic sense of what's expected of you socially or etiquette wise as a golfer, right? And that's things like if you hit it in a bunker, that you use the rake and fix the bunker when you're done. If you hit a shot on the green and it makes a pitch mark, right, that you repair that pitch mark and you have an idea of how to do that properly. If you make a divot on the fairway, then you replace your divot or use the sand mix. So there are things you can do to ingratiate yourself to other golfers, with etiquette and keeping up with pace of play. So those are my thoughts, Franklin. I hope that helps. Road Rage Rig says, do you have any tips or tricks to help when you're about to hit with your driver? Yeah, so the one that helps me a lot, actually, guys, is hovering the putter, or excuse me, the driver. I do it with the putter too. But taking the tension out of the weight of the club before I take it back, right? You'll see that in my videos pretty much with all my swings now. I'm kind of briefly hovering the club before I take it back. That helps with a bunch of things. For me, it helps with again, like, feeling the tension, the weight of the club, so I'm not adjusting to that in real time, right? If you go from, this club weighs nothing when it's sitting on the ground to now it weighs something and my body's adjusting to that as I make the swing. So that's been helpful for me. And it reduces the chance of, like, as you're taking the club back, getting caught on a piece of grass or like a grainy fairway, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh, what just happened? And your brain's all frazzled. No good shot ever comes after you take the club back and it gets a little stuck, right? Because you're immediately just thrown off. Just go, Frank. First game is the most fun. Never ever take your eyes off the ball. Awesome tips, Paul. Yeah, love that the chat and the community is really kind of, working together, sharing tips and tricks. We have some people who've been around the game of golf for a long time, a lot of years, and we have people like Franklin who are saying, hey, I want to go try this for the very first time. I mean, I think that's one of the awesome things about this platform and this community. We get to help each other, and there's a multiplying effect, right? It's not just 1 + 1 = 2, it's 1 + 1 = 3, right? Because we're all here sharing things and knowledge together. Boss made me come in on my day off. I snuck into his office and unloaded diarrhea in his briefcase. Well, I can't tell you that that's not some sort of crime or that I could condone your behavior. However, I would understand where you were coming from, is what I might say. I would understand the sentiment that led you to doing such a thing. And I might suggest also it's potentially an effective way of making your grievances known, right? It's not going to leave a lot of ambiguity, like, did he shit in my briefcase because he was thrilled about having to come in, or because he was pissed? He's going to know. He's going to know for sure how you felt. Just forget bad ones straight away. Great advice, Paul. Totally agreed. Again, isn't it so funny? I think back on the round of golf I played a couple days ago. I shot 6. It was 76, which was a par 70, so 6 over par. I was like even or 1 over maybe through 13 holes. I was playing okay. I made a couple birdies early in the back 9, and I think back on that round. The first things I always think of are like the bad shots I hit, the putts I missed, as opposed to like I hit some awesome golf shots. I posted one that got a lot of traction, about stuffing a 9-iron to like 3 feet, right? Why am I not thinking about that shot? That was a great swing, a really good result. As golfers, we have this weird wiring to immediately go back to like, well, what was the worst thing I did today, and how can I just only focus on that? So Franklin, another thing that will help golf be more fun for you is celebrate your good shots, right? Like remember that, like, hey, remember when I hit that drive and it was nice and straight right down the fairway, and I hit it, right in the center of the club face? Try to remember those swings when you're done. Golf will be a lot more fun. Don't torture yourself, because it's hard enough as it is. Where should I buy my first set of clubs for not too much, and how much should I expect to spend? If you get 10 in a row, I'll give you $100. Who is better at golf, you or Trump? Well, just objectively, it's going to be me. There's not really like a lot of, room for debate. But here, let's make 10 in a row. You can give me $100. Let's go. This is number 1 right here. We'll just go rapid fire. 1. 2. 3. Is he starting to sweat yet? 4. 5 in a row. 6 in a row. 7 in a row. 8 in a row. 9 in a row. All right, guys. Get ready. Strap in. You sure you want me to make it? You're going to give $100? Here we go. This is for 10 in a row. Boom. Let's go. Jim and Dana said hi. Hey, Jim and Dana. Sicko Killer. There it is. $100 in the chat. Thanks very much, my dude. Kia Sanat said hi. Hey, Kia Sanat. That's a funny name. Trump's not a real golfer. He cheats. It seems, Paul, that there is a laundry list of evidence to that effect. Oh, we didn't update the tracker, guys. Just nailed another 10 in a row. 70 now is the current streak. Franklin says, pay that man. Thanks, Franklin. You know what? Instead of paying $100, Sicko Killer, you could just hit that subscribe button for me. That'll help me out. And that is actually free. The same way that your $100 chat is. I'll send the $100 through a cashier's check in 3 to 5 business days. That's funny. A little bit inside takeaway there, but still managed to get it to go. That's 74 in a row. Sicko Killer said done. All right, guys. Thanks very much. This is how it goes. If you're a new subscriber and you subscribe and then drop a chat, we get to update the subscriber count as well. That's even more fun, I think, than updating the streak count. So, Sicko Killer, shout out to you. Newest subscriber on the channel. If you want a shout out and to force me to stop what I'm doing immediately to update that subscriber count, you know what to do. And it is actually free, which is cool. You know, sometimes if you want to help get up off your couch or send them some money, right? Here, you can just hit a button on your screen. Cool times. Do. Also, I haven't yet talked about today. We're still running the giveaway for some clubs. The first one that we're doing, it's going to end on this Sunday. So just a few more days to enter the giveaway for a free Adams hybrid that, you know, we'll get in touch on Instagram once we do the random number generator to pick the winner. So go check out the pinned post on my Instagram, guys, to see how to enter that giveaway if you're interested in getting some free equipment sent to you. Roping said subscribe. So did Ruben. Shout out to you guys. Joke said done. Amazing. Franklin, I just subscribed. Amazing, guys. So I think that's 3 more. That's going to get us to 2860. Very cool. And shout out to you guys. Shout out to Ruben, Roping, Joke, Natalie, and Franklin. I miscounted, guys. That was 5 of you. So 2862 we're going to be up to. And now Dennis said he subscribed as well. 2863. Incredible. Shout out to Dennis Corcoran, newest subscriber. Andrew Henkel said hi. Hey, Andrew. Welcome to the stream. We're working on... This is for 80 in a row from 5 feet. Right down the middle. Let's go. Ruben said, keep up the good work, my guy. Shout out to you, Ruben. I appreciate your support and kind words. We are definitely going to keep it going. I'm having fun with this, guys. I really have enjoyed building something really from the ground up, trying to, figure out in real time how to make it better, how to, incorporate your feedback. Marcus said, love it. Paul said, proud of you people. Natalie said, my life is watching number go up. That's funny. Dennis, what's your Instagram? My Instagram is the same as here, John Young Golf. So we've only been over there for a few weeks, starting to, we've met a bunch of cool people over there on Instagram, and I'm gonna be speaking actually at a meeting, a virtual meeting that some people are doing. I got in touch with them on Instagram, and so I'm excited about that, to get to, meet some new people and share my experience. That is, specifically about my experience with sobriety, and I'm, I don't know, 4.5 years now since I last drank alcohol, which is great. Feel amazing. Most days I feel like I've never felt better physically. I tell people all the time, it's the best decision I ever made, was finally accepting, like, dude, you cannot keep this under control. The only option, if you want to, like, survive, is to just stop drinking forever. And it was really a full-on, like, identity shift, right? It wasn't like, oh, I'm taking a break from drinking, or I'm not going to drink for a while, I'll come back to it. I had to, change how I think about myself, right? I'm not a person who drinks alcohol anymore, right? People ask me, I say, I don't drink, right? Not like I'm not drinking right now, or I'm not drinking for some, temporary period of time. Like, as a human being, I'm not somebody who drinks alcohol. That's like my identity now. And it's been really effective. I feel very grateful to have been able to, overcome that really kind of independently, right? I didn't do a program, I didn't go to rehab. I just was like, I got to change my life. I'm going to start tomorrow, and I'm going to make it through one day. And I'm going to not drink for one day. And if I can do that, then I'll try again the next day. I'm not an expert by any means, right? These programs, these things, like, do help people. So again, like I said, I feel fortunate. But, it's just really about one day at a time, I think, is the main message. Or when I talk about this stuff and, trying to create this platform on YouTube, with anything, the hardest part is starting, right? Whether that was therapy, or, losing weight, or getting sober, quitting nicotine, like a bunch of these things that I've done to try and continue, improving, being the best version of myself. And that's what I want people to take away from this channel, right? Is you can change your life. It's possible. Like, if you're something that, you're struggling with, or you're unhappy about, it's definitely possible to change it. I'm never going to tell you it's going to be easy, right? But the hardest part is starting. And from there, it's just one foot in front of the other. The journey of 1,000,000 miles begins with a single step, is a great quote that I like. Hey, John, how's it going today? Thanks, Andrew. What's up with you, Andrew? Hello, everyone. Congrats on that achievement. Thanks, Andrew. I appreciate that. It's very nice. A bunch of Andrews in here today. I love that you're very adamant on being sober. I love that you influence being sober. Thank you. Yeah, again, it's it's part of who I am. It's been a big part of my life experience, and it would be, inauthentic, I think, to an extent, to not talk about that, or, to be honest about saying, like, part of my goal with this is not just to say, your show, this is what it looks like to try and get better at golf, or how to become a good player, or, how to fix your slice, all that stuff that's, interesting and cool, but to build a platform to talk about real stuff and make it normal to say, like, I go to therapy, and I quit drinking because it wasn't good for me. And, that we can destigmatize these issues by talking about them. And if you believe that it's important to destigmatize them, or if that more people would seek treatment, or, normalize these kinds of things, if we did talk about it, well, then shouldn't I do just that? Shouldn't I just openly talk about, like, yeah, these are things that were really hard. They were not easy to deal with, but I went through them. And if I can share some of that experience with other people, isn't that what wisdom is, right? If I can help somebody else have an easier time, by not going through as difficult of an experience as I had, well, that would be awesome, right? Less cumulative suffering in the world. My dogs are barking for no reason. So I'm kind of ranting at this point, about why I think this stuff is important to talk about. But I appreciate your comment, Andrew. Upstate Prepper. Hello, everyone. Totally new to golf here. Very cool. Welcome to the best game there is. Upstate. Cena says, I got a 72 for the first time today. Amazing feeling. Wow, very cool. First time shooting even par, it sounds like. That's an awesome, awesome achievement. I'm really proud of you. That's super fun. All right, guys. If we make these next 5, we'll be at 90. But you know what? To get to 90, we first got to make 86. So let's make 86. Boom. Right down the center. Now we can try to make 87. Right? Again, it's just one foot in front of the other. I didn't get to 4 years sober like all at once, right? It's just you have to do it one day at a time. It's just, you let time do the work. Boom. That's 88. Do I hear 89? Let's go. I can't convince you, but if there ever was a time where you're like, maybe I'll hit that subscribe button or drop a like. It's 90 in a row, guys. Or even better, you could stick around, see if we make it to 100. We'll update the extremely official score tracker here. 90 in a row from 5 feet. Very cool. Jaden said, good man, I like what you represent. Thanks very much, Jaden. Do you love your Lab DF3? I do. Mitch, great question. I've only had it for, maybe a couple weeks. Maybe a week. Really big fan of it. The face, stability, especially on short putts, I think is going to be a game changer. It feels extremely forgiving on longer putts, right? I've always had an issue with miss hits on lag putts and not hitting, the ball the correct distance. So I think the forgiveness in this putter will be helpful. Andrew says, I do the same thing every day, but in different ways. Very cool. Have you played in Spain? It was at PGA Catalunya. I have not played golf in Spain. However, I have been there a couple of times. I studied abroad there, actually, in Sevilla. Si quieres, yo puedo hablar poquito en español contigo, pero en ese momento para mí es difícil practicar. Entonces, mi capacidad de hablar es ok, pero escuchar y entender, no bien, no bueno. Pero me gusta cuando hay oportunidades para practicar y me encanta España, es un lugar increíble. La comida, las mujeres, me encanta España. Andrew, we should all be gentlemen daily, locked grip or no lock grip? Great question. So on the full swing, I recently transitioned to an overlap grip, so no interlock. And then on the putting, I go left hand low with this kind of reverse overlap on the right side. So the left hand is kind of really driving the ship. I have the Scotty Newport 2, debating on getting one. Yeah, Scotties are great. This is a 2003 Newport Beach Scotty camera that I keep on the bench. This is one of my favorite putters of all time. It's a clean Newport 1 shape. No dots or sight lines or anything, right? You got the old school Titleist in the face. Here, I can give you a close look at this one. This is one of my favorite putters. Really of all time, to be honest. Just incredible feel. Not super forgiving, as you might imagine. So I don't break it out all the time. But actually, you guys will see it. The 9-hole match that I played. The scratch match with Buddy Joe from college golf. That's going to go up tomorrow, guys. So you get to see a fresh 9-hole look at some pretty high-level golf. It was a great match, back and forth. I won't spoil it for you. But that'll be out tomorrow, so set your calendars. Okay, so I've never taken a lesson or anything like that. Played for my 5th time today with my friend. I'm 13, have a horrible slice. Either make a divot on every shot or top it. Any tips? Sure, Michael. So number one, proud of you for getting out there to try golf, right? If you've only done it a few times, it's definitely not a sport that, is going to come naturally to most people. It's going to take a lot of, time and investment to get better. But if you're struggling with a slice, the main thing I would tell you to work on, is trying to neutralize your path, right? Getting it more out to the right and maybe closing the club face a touch. A slice usually is because this face is pointed to the left, right? Or open, or so, pointed to the right, I should say. And the path is to the left, right? So we're kind of cutting across it with an open club like that. What you want to try to feel is more like you're hitting a forehand in tennis, right? Where you're getting that out to the right and the face is closing, right? Pointed more to the left. Another thing you can practice, right? If you ever have time to go to the driving range, when you're practicing your driver, set up like you're going to hit it, right down the middle of the fairway. Imagine there's a fairway extending over here, right? And you're saying, I normally miss it over to the right. It's going in the right rough or the trees. I'm slicing it. Force yourself. Imagine like there's lava over there. You cannot hit your ball over there to the right, and you've got to hit it as far to the left as you possibly can. Just try to teach yourself how you get that club face closing and the hands releasing. So give yourself a task, right? My goal is to hit it over there in the left. Get that ball turning. And one hint I would give you is if you're just starting out, a lot of people get this club head really inside early, right? So the club, your swing might look something like this, kind of inside and over the top like that. Right? One tip I would give you to practice is keep that club head low and close to the ground and away from you in the takeaway. Right? You need this space. You need all this space to let the club come down so that you can hit that ball nice and straight. Right? But give yourself nice width. Keep that club face out there. Keep it away from you. Right? Give that a try. John, are you a boater at all? I'm not really a boater. I have family that have boats, so I spend, a couple days every summer on a boat. I have my brother, one of them is a big sailor and spends a lot of time on boats. Just was never really my thing. If it's a nice day for boating, it's usually a nice day for golf. So, Cena says, I live in Costa Brava in the Sunners. So funny or amazing golf too. Wow, yeah. I wish, one of my big regrets was not finding a way to play golf while I was in Spain. I did look into it at one point. From where we were staying, it would have been like a 45-minute taxi ride. And as a student, I had like no extra money. So couldn't make it happen when I was over there. But I would love to go back. Michael, you could try hitting it in the middle instead of the top or the turf. And Cena said, amazing Spanish. Oh, thanks very much. I appreciate that. It's not something, like I said, that I get to practice very often, but, I certainly had done it at a high enough level where I've retained most of my conversational Spanish, at least. I remember, like, when I was coming back from that trip, I had spent, I'd been in Spain for, like, 3 months and speaking Spanish every day, and I actually was translating for a group of high school students who were coming from Spain to the U.S. to study, and they didn't speak any English. So I was translating for them at the British Airways desk at the airport. That was probably the best my Spanish had ever been, and they knew they were from Madrid, and they could tell from my Spanish accent that I had been in southern Spain, in Sevilla. So that was definitely the peak of my powers, if you will. And it's just been sort of a slow decline ever since. I actually got to speak Spanish today with some guys who were delivering some stuff to the house, and the one guy said, oh, no English. I said, no problem. If you want, we can speak Spanish. Si quieres, puedo hablar contigo. And we got by just fine. Caden says, how do I fix my slice? Great question, Caden. So 2 things to understand. The slice is because the path of the club is too far from the outside, right? Across it this way. I'm trying to hit it that way, right? And the face is open, right? So when you make contact, that face, imagine you were trying to hit like a high spinny lob shot in tennis, right? You would open the racket, hit down on it like that, right? That's what's happening when you're slicing it. So you got to get that club face more closed and the path more neutral, right? Less this way and more kind of down the target line or even out to the right. So the drill that I would have you do, Caden, drop this head cover down behind and to the right of your golf ball, right? Imagine I've got it teed up right here. And start hitting some balls where you avoid hitting this head cover, right? It's going to make it very hard to slice it if you've got that head cover there. because the tendency will be to make that over the top swing, and then your path to the ball will be blocked by this head cover, right? So if you can practice hitting the ball and avoiding the head cover, you should really quickly see the ball start to straighten out and fly nicely through the air for you. Another one, if you need a task orientation, another, it's a little easier for people sometimes, is imagine you're trying to hit it, to center field, or set up like you're going to hit to center field, right? But then force yourself to hit it down the left field line, or, in the left rough, right? You've got to force yourself to get that club face more closed, pointed more to the left so that you can hit the ball straight and not slice it. Cole, I tend to take the putter out to in, which mimics my full swing. Any tips? Also seems like I take my putter back a bit too far. I miss everything inside 5 feet. So, awesome question, Cole. This is something that I personally have spent a ton of time working on. And if you're willing to invest in it a little bit, I would tell you these 2 training aids fundamentally have changed my ability to start the ball on my intended line, which is about 90% of what matters for making putts in that 3 to 10 foot range. Right? You obviously need to hit it the right speed, but you have to start the ball on the right line. Right? This is called a Pell's tutor, and this is a little tray, plastic tray, right, where the golf ball sits here, and then there are these ball bearings that form a gate. Right? And this is scalable, so if you're just starting out, you can make it nice and wide. And as you progress, right, I pretty much exclusively use this narrowest setting here. And this pairs perfectly with the well stroke mat that you've seen me putting on here for the last 65 minutes, right? And this mat has an arc, right? It comes in different arcs. There's a heavy arc, right? There's a bigger, like an 18-degree one, I think. This is a low arc 12-degree. Right. The way that you practice with these is you get the, peripheral feedback or whatever you want to call it of, did my putter stay in this track, right? And I have these indoor tees set up so that I get feedback, right? If I take the putter too far outside, I'm going to hit this gate, right? So I have a gate for my stroke, or I'm seeing it with my eyes right in this arc that's on the mat underneath, and then I get the functional feedback of, did I start the ball on the line, right? Because if I pull it, I'm going to hit this left ball bearing, and vice versa. If I push it, it's going to go over there. And the idea being that when you execute properly, which I did not, right? I hit the left ball bearing there. So this is giving you instant feedback. Did I start it on my intended line? And I did a whole bunch of this, right? So, Cole, if you click on the channel, the John Young Golf, and you go to videos, I did a 30-day putting challenge where I did this, for 30 straight days and track my progress, hitting 50 putts a day. And you can see from, where I started to where I ended that it was, really, really impactful and, helpful in, right, getting that ball started on my intended line. And now, because I've done, so many reps of on this Pell's tutor, I just have so much confidence on the golf course that I'm going to start the ball on my intended line. Mike is getting really choppy. Oh, that's not good. Here, let's swap it out and see if that gets better. Here, let's check. Swap it out and see if that gets better. Check. Here, let's check. Swap it out and see if that gets better. Check. Check. Here, let's check. Swap it out and see if that. Check. Okay, I think it's working now. Let me know. I appreciate that. Thanks for letting me know. So Cole, give that a try. And also, you don't need to spend money on this, right? You can create a gate with extra golf balls, right? Imagine you want to practice, taking your putter back nice and straight, right? Or you take it too far outside, you could set up something like this, right? And just use what you have, you know, to give yourself some feedback, right? You know, you could do the same thing with the start line gate, right? You know, set these up in between you and the hole. And you have a gate here to tell you, you know, if I started on the right line. So don't feel like you need to spend money on these things, guys. Usually there's a way you can, you know, create the same effect, you know, without having to really spend a bunch of money. Like somebody earlier was asking, like, I'm just getting into golf, you know, how much should I expect to spend? You know, where should I go for clubs, right? And if you're just getting into golf, you know, please don't feel like you need to spend thousands of dollars on equipment, you know, brand new drivers and putters and all this fancy stuff to get started. You can have a ton of, you know, go into eBay or a thrift store, and for $50 in total, you can get a putter, a driver, you know, like a wedge, maybe some sort of sand wedge, and maybe an iron or two, like an 8-iron and a 5-iron, maybe. And just seriously, grab 4 or 5 clubs, start going to the driving range, start playing, you know, 9 holes of golf with your friends. You can have an awesome time with like 4 or 5 clubs. You can do really well spending money on used equipment, right? So please do not feel like you need to spend a ton of money on equipment. On the fence whether to get a lab putter. Convince me I need one. Well, I can't convince you 100% of how to spend your money. But I think it's been really helpful for me. Amazing. Cena said bedtime for me. Subscribe. Nice stuff. Thanks very much. So Cena, subscribe. Shout out to you, Cena. We're going to update our sub count here. 2864. Very, very cool. Love doing this in real time when people are like, hey, I heard what you were saying. It was pretty cool. I liked hanging out for a bit. I'm going to hit that subscribe button. So Cole, hopefully that helps, you know, give you a sense of what that looks like. And, you know, again, you can set this up at home. Really, you know, really kind of low entry point level way to start, you know, practicing your putting, getting that ball started online. Cole says, make that 2865. Incredible. Shout out to you, Cole. Thank you very much. I appreciate that, guys. If you guys are out there and you want a shout out, just drop a little chat that says, hey, I subscribe too. We're building this thing from the ground up together, right? We've got 4 more till 100, I think, right? Aren't we on 90? Let's get this ball rolling in the cup again. We've been just yammering. You know, these are great questions. I love answering the questions, you know, demonstrating the drills. But let's get right back into it. Boom, rolling these balls right down Broadway, guys. All right, that's 100 in a row. Drop a like on the stream for 100 putts in a row, guys. Look at this. Triple digits. How much more official does it get than this? Check that out. 100 in a row. Not close yet. We still got 108 to go until we get to our PR, but pretty cool. Andrew Henkel says, I'm subscribed too. 2866. We're doing it in real time, guys. Shout out to you, Andrew. Ben Sheridan said hi. Hey, Ben. What's up, my dude? All right, guys. You want to see us make another 100? Let's do it. Let's make another 100 in a row. Tell you what, great confidence booster, honestly. You know, I know I've got like some feedback here and I'm still doing a drill. And, you know, but watching the ball just roll in the hole time and time and time again to make this many in a row. It's a testament to, you know, the work that I put in, but also all the support that you guys have given me, right? To, you know, keep supporting me, to put the time in. Even when the focus is on the fact that I'm doing a live stream, right? I am practicing. I'm getting better as a result of doing this. Your channel page says 2.88K. Whoa! Incredible. So maybe it seems like, you know, people have been subscribing in real time, but maybe not, you know, dropping a chat, which is awesome. You know, obviously, if that makes you more comfortable. I'm happy to have everybody on board, you know, joining this community, get a little better, whether that's golf or life or a bit of both, right? And we made 100 putts before my back even started hurting. Not a fun thing to deal with, guys. I've had, you know, it's not nearly as bad as it used to be, but lots of chronic back pain over the years. Love to see it going just right in the center. Nice. This is for 110. All right, so love to see that. Cena, can you share your story? Paul, good stream tonight, bud. Did you get a look at the darts? You're putting like you're throwing darts. I love that, Paul. Thanks very much. Yeah, it feels that way a little bit, especially with this Lab DF3 putter. Up to 110. I did not... Tell me about the darts, Paul. I'd love to know more. Also, I found myself earlier being like, man, you know, I would like to check out some darts. And I didn't even know where to start, short of just going on YouTube and searching, like, what's new in the darts world. But, Paul, give me, like, some... You know, are there channels that I could watch or places to catch it live? Cena, can you share your story? Sure. What part of it, Cena? How I started making content, or yeah, I mean, I'm pretty much an open book if you have questions. And what's interesting, right, about having, you know, talked about this stuff and shared my story to some extent is none of these are issues everybody knows, a friend, a family member, someone in their community who's dealt with mental health issues, who's dealt with substance abuse issues, who's, you know, done things like weight loss or, you know, quit smoking. You know, these are not issues that only John Young has dealt with, right? So once we like accept that fact that these are things that happen to humans, and, you know, I think we by treating them that way, right? Because nobody is like, oh, you know, actually, I've never met somebody who had a drinking problem. Or, you know, like, nope, I don't even know what you know, right? Most of us, you know, because of how prevalent these things are, have some exposure to these issues. And, you know, by just openly talking about it, right? So, oh, Avi just said John Daly, right? You know, it's if we watch golf, right? You see it in our eyes, right? These people exist in the world. And if we have compassion for them and we understand that these are normal things that people deal with, as opposed to, you know, the way especially drug users, I think, are treated, in terms of, like, you know, you're like the subhuman treatment that we treat these people like, and it just makes everything worse, right? We could just compassionately care for these people and help them get better, instead of, like, you know, making it illegal to sleep outside. You know, the money's being spent on something, and I think it's just always the wrong thing. But anyway, yeah, ask your question, Cena. I'm happy to, you know, share whatever aspects are interesting. You know, because I did mention the drinking, right? So I've been sober, you know, alcohol-free for 4.5 years, give or take. I jokingly said, I said this the other day, you know, on the golf course, that I'm a retired professional, right? I didn't just stop drinking because I was like, oh, you know, for a long time, you at one point in my life, I was like 230 pounds, if you can imagine that, guys. Not anymore. Uh, I was that guy who was always like, oh, where are we going for a drink? What's the excuse we can find to, bring a couple of nips into this concert or whatever the thing is. And I just really, I knew for a long time that it was just, I was kind of spiraling and it was getting worse. Because again, that's what happens with drugs and alcohol, right? Is your body says, okay, you've introduced a certain amount. We have to build up a tolerance to that. Well, if you want to achieve the same effect, which for me was mostly just, numbing my problems, right? I didn't want to go to therapy. I didn't want to talk about, trauma and things that I had dealt with in my life. The thing about alcohol is it's effective, right? It works for that kind of thing if you're using it to self-medicate. And basically, from the first day I went to college until I stopped drinking, I was just on that path of like, in varying degrees, right? These things go up and down. But, I remember as a college student having people, my roommates who were also being like, are you okay, dude? Like, you seem like you're drinking a lot. Because again, it is an effective way to deal with, issues. Or, if there are things you don't want to feel and eventually your body's just going to say, like, okay, we just got to, you have to keep using more and more and more of this. That's just a physiological fact, right? And it just got to a point where I was like, I have to do something different. Because I didn't think I would, like, I had this interesting thing where I just never expected to, like, live that long. Because I just knew that, like, that was kind of the path I was on. And I just had a moment of, like, you can keep going down this path or you can start doing something different. And, I don't know if it was, divine intervention or whatever it was like, convinced me to just try to stop drinking for like a day. I think initially my goal was like, can I make it to 30 days? Like, could I actually just stop drinking for a month? And that was kind of like the goal, what I was telling people. But I knew, like, if I'm going to stop, I need to just stop, like, and not do this anymore. And figure out a way to do that so that I can survive. But it's not, again, everyone's story is so different and unique, right? If you were observing my life or, like, my friends and family were like, oh, we thought everything was fine. Like, you were just, partying and having a good time. Like, I had a good job. I didn't have any legal issues. It wasn't like there was a rock bottom, handcuffs moment. So I was a very, very functional alcoholic for a super long time. I could manage my career around it. I had a great career, made a ton of money, doing something that I now have come to hate. I'm extremely cynical about the entire industry that I came from. So that's part of it. So, hopefully that helps. And again, these things are not easy to go through, right? Those, I tell people all the time, if you're thinking about, if you've been drinking a lot or drinking for a long period of time, talk to your doctor, because I learned after the fact that you can have, like, fatal seizures if you just cold turkey quit drinking. Again, by divine intervention or otherwise, I went from 70 units or 70 drinks, 70, 80 drinks a week to none. And, I had a terrible, like sweats and couldn't sleep and all kinds of, withdrawal symptoms, that fortunately never got to the point of seizures or anything like that. But, I learned after the fact that, stopping drinking like that can also be dangerous. So again, I'm not an expert, I'm not a medical professional, but, these are things that I have learned and some experiences that I've had. And, it's not fun to talk about. There's, like, obviously a million things I would rather, make content about or talk about. But again, I think it's important for people to see, like, there is, another side of it. If you're stuck in the, like, well, this is my life, I'm just going to get drunk every chance I have, or, using drugs or whatever your thing is, there is another path, right? There's a version of your life where, you make different choices, you surround yourself with different people, whatever the steps that need to, be taken are in your situation, you can take them. They are there, they're possible. And you can get to the other side and have just this beautiful experience of, like, wow, I was so scared that like things that life wouldn't be fun anymore, right? Would I even enjoy playing golf? Would I enjoy going to concerts? Hanging out with my friends? Like, would those things still be fun without drinking? And let me tell you guys, they're still really fun. Like, I play golf as much as I possibly can. I don't drink. I have an awesome time. Fun things are still fun, right? So again, just trying to, share my experience and show people that it is possible. Hey, Squirrel Sniper's here. Our Korean friends are here. Hey, guys. Siobhan said hi. Hey, guys. I knew this guy. His name was Alec Kelly. Alk for short. He couldn't live without drink. Alk, yeah, nice. Squirrel Sniper said, same here 27 years ago. Much better life. You have to be determined to change. Are you in favor of forced rehab camps? No, I think we have enough camps in America as it is. Goes to show you guys, they can build a concentration camp in 8 days, but, they can't fix our roads or our bridges or build hospitals or pay the teachers, right? But if you need a concentration camp in barely a week, right, boy, do I have the country for you. And I cannot express how frustrating it is as an American to feel just the shame of what this place has turned into. And smart people would say, well, it's kind of always been that way. And you're not wrong about that. But certainly in my lifetime, it has deteriorated at a pretty high rate. And yeah, no, it's an interesting question, Evie, right? They are talking about, forcing people into rehab camps for all kinds of stuff, right? Everybody loves a fringe case, right? The person who, goes on Prozac and then they lose their mind, right? But, you ignore the fact that millions and millions and millions and millions of people take medication like that, SSRIs and, all kinds of stuff, the ADD medication, right? Hand up, by the way, for both. So, classic millennial. But, people that function at a super high level and have really positive outcomes. But no, we got to put them in camp so that they can figure out how to live. Yeah, it's all madness, guys. It's we've all just lost our mind and no one's talking about it. I'm convinced, more than anything, I really think that greed, right, the desire to continue accumulating wealth that our system, allows for, right? We laud these people. We look at, oh, isn't it great? This guy is super rich now because he sold his company. Well, yeah, maybe. Or we could look at that as a sickness. I think greed is a disease, right? That warps your brain and your perception of people and your empathy. It's, the lack of interaction with other real humans on a daily basis, I think is unhealthy, right? And that's only really allowed, or kind of, that situation can only occur because of the accumulation of extreme amounts of wealth. Not forced, optional. I'm not entirely sure Oh, yeah. He got caught in Scotland. Yeah, I mean, this isn't new, guys. This isn't new. If you're just now waking up to the fact that the current president might not be an honest person because he potentially cheated at golf, I would contend you haven't been paying attention. If you're like, oh man, I can't believe, John's a... Found his golf ball, he lost. Jordan, do you feel like your political beliefs clash with the gold community? Oh, I think it means golf community. Yeah, no, I certainly feel like a bit of an outsider in the country club golf world. Not only for, because I'm tattooed or, believe that human beings are valuable and have rights. Also, I don't know if it's even political beliefs, to be honest with you. I would describe it more as I think that, the people that we're choosing to try to get rid of, right, are human beings, and that we should treat them like human beings. I don't personally believe that that is a political opinion. Like politics is like, should we spend money on more defense or more on like social services and healthcare, right? That's politics. Should we have women and brown people in our country? That's not politics. That's about values and how you see the value of other people. And what I was just about to say, I'm glad you asked this question, Jordan, is if me talking in this way turns people off, or they're like, hey, I just came here for the golf, that's okay. It doesn't have to be for you. But I'm not going to not talk about these things I feel strongly about because it's my platform and it's not a democracy, right? This space is an authoritarian regime and I'm in charge. So I am going to continue sharing, my thoughts on these things as people, if they come up. I think the time for, being quiet and just like letting things, settle down is behind us, right? There are, masked people kidnapping citizens off the street, right? It's happening right now. I hate both parties. Yeah, I agree with Paul, right? Like, we're not talking about like left and right or Democrats and Republicans. Like, this is about, a class of rich people who have convinced us all to fight each other instead of being like, dude, we're hungry. Like, you have, enough food for 1,000 lifetimes. Like, share with the rest of us. Pay your taxes, right? It's if you think we have a two-party system, I think you've been sold a lie, right? We have a one-party system that has, it's the same coin with two sides on it, right? Grant says, about to go to my lesson. Wish me luck. Hey, good luck, Grant. Thanks for hanging out. Appreciate it. How he blatantly lies with no shame or guilt amazes me. Yeah, it's hard to understand. Freedom of speech in the UK is on the line. I agree. Trump's admin has turned morality into politics, and I'm glad you won't change for views. Yeah, it, I heard a quote recently that was like, if exposing a crime is treated as a crime, then you're being ruled by criminals. And it kind of feels like that's where we're at, to be honest with you guys. So it's very frustrating. I can't really come up with a better word than frustrating. To feel like we have so little agency, to try and correct these things, or like, where's the millions of people in the streets? Like, yeah, I don't know. It's very frustrating. Once you understand that it's not a resource problem, right? It's not like, well, if only we had more money. We have enough money to solve all of the quote unquote like things that are wrong, right? The healthcare and homeless veterans, all these issues. They're not about resources. We have enough money to solve all of them. We are choosing, politically or otherwise, not to, right? The question is not, can we find the money or the skilled people to do it? That's not the problem. The problem is, are the people in charge actually, doing what they need to do for the, interests of the people? That is what to me is so incredibly frustrating. It is not a resource issue. Anytime you hear someone say, well, there's just not enough money, it's a lie. It's simply a lie. Right? If you join ICE now, you can go be a federal agent and deport people. You'll get a $50,000 signing bonus and repayment of your student loans, student loan forgiveness, right? So they are weaponizing poverty to recruit people to be agents of the state, right? It's just the most evil, crazy moment to be alive for. I don't really know how else to describe it in real time. To say like, oh, there's no money to pay the teachers. There's not enough money to, pay the nurses more. Can't keep these hospitals open. But if you want to, go round people up, we got money for you. It's incredibly frustrating. But for now, I'm going to try to make this next putt, which we did. That's 124 in a row, guys. So I'm actually marching towards our PR of 208. Let me catch up here quickly. South Park, yeah, South Park was good. Government wants to drop the age to vote to 16, so inscription to the army is on the way to the unthinking teenager. That's awesome. It's the same corruption, rich controlling the poor, 100%. Not enough money after corruption. DR, you're exactly right. H99 said, give me a lab putter. If I could, I would. You guys keep blowing up the channel like this. Well, I'll be a lab partner. Help you guys all, we can do giveaways, try out different putters. But I think we probably need to, keep putting in the work, showing up consistently over a long enough period of time. We're going to reach all those goals. Boom. Love to see the ball going in. Garrett's on the course right now. Hope you're playing well, my dude. Garrett's a really good player based on the scores that he has shared before. All right, guys, that's up to 130. Drop a like for 130 makes in a row. And is the DF3 your full-time go-to putter? Good question. I've only had it for about a week. So hard to answer that as of yet, but it's headed that way. How I get better with low irons from that guy Hudson. All right, great question. So if you're struggling with, those 3, 4, 5 irons, number one, make sure that you have enough club head speed to be able to use clubs effectively, right? If your 4-iron club head speed is, less than 85 miles an hour, you might do better with a 7 or a 9 wood or maybe a hybrid. But if you're committed to those clubs, right, and you do have enough speed, I think it's super important. This is a 4-iron, right? I think it's incredibly important to focus on how you contact the ball in the ground, right? So overemphasizing, making a smooth, balanced swing with good tempo, as opposed to, can I squeeze 5 more yards out of my 4-iron? So even if you have to feel like you're swinging it at, 85 or 90% to guarantee or, really give yourself a good chance of making a good strike, that's what I would focus on. That would be my best tip for hitting long irons, right? Is just stay really balanced and smooth and right, centered on the ball, because you're going to have much better results, by making good contact than you are by, that extra 1 or 2 miles an hour club head speed. Take away the alignment mats. Well, that is part of the drill we're doing here. So I have these indoor tees set up to give me a bit of a gate for the backswing. So without that, I wouldn't be able to get that feedback and continue doing this. So yes, it certainly would make it a bit more difficult. However, I find that, for me, I need those reminders when I'm doing this kind of extended practice to not develop bad habits in my stroke. But it's a great point, DR. Some amount of our practice should be replicating how we play on the golf course, right? And for me, what I do is combines. I had ChatGPT design a 18-hole putting combine for me that simulates, imagine playing 18 holes, but just on the greens. So some holes, maybe you miss the green, you have a chip, and then you have a 6-footer. Right, so some of the holes, you start from 6 feet and record how many putts it takes you. And, some of them are 60 feet, right? And you have to hit a good lag putt and try and 2-putt, and then you count them all up at the end, and you can measure your progress over a simulated round of golf, right? And in there, I'm reading all the putts, I'm going through my process. Yeah, I take the 50K, just not to go round up my neighbors. New to your videos, but enjoying it. Thanks very much, Ben. In golf, does your dominant hand go at the top or bottom of the club, or does that not matter? So in putting, it doesn't matter so much. However, typically, it's not unheard of. There are, rare cases of people that do their full swing cross-handed as well. However, typically, if you're a right-handed golfer, then your left hand goes on top and your right hand on the bottom, right? And you grip it, in this fashion. Because the left hand, the lead side, is really what drives the swing, right? Golf is largely a left side, front side movement, right? You could hit, some really powerful shots with just your left arm, right? But with your right arm, it's going to be a lot tougher to really generate. DR says, I shoot in the 70s in my 30s swing, 100 miles an hour plus with driver. Okay, so you certainly have enough speed then to hit some long irons. Paul's got a great point. Also, Paul, awesome to see you've got that #1 chat crown on. Pretty cool. Low irons are bad. So, DR, a couple things that help me is getting the ball a little bit further back in my stance, closer to the center, as opposed to sometimes with the long irons it can creep a little too far forward, and not letting the swing get too long. For me, I always struggle with overswinging these clubs, right, and getting the backswing like really kind of back here, and hitting a lot of shots where I felt like I was kind of going 3/4 to 3/4, right? Imagine if your whole swing was from like 9 to 3 on a clock, right? So your arms never get past parallel, and then your follow through is kind of the same, right? And you can hit a bunch of shots that way to get that feel and really, start finding the center of the club face consistently again, because that's long irons. Ben says, thanks for answering the question. Hope you have a fantastic rest of your day. I appreciate that nice comment, Ben. Thanks very much. If you want to drop a subscribe or a like on the channel, we appreciate that too. We are hurtling towards 3,000 subscribers, guys. So if you want a shout out and a real-time update on our subscriber count, we can do that on our extremely official tracker here. But otherwise, let's finish out the rest of this set. Again, we're only, we're right at 5 feet, guys. So we're hoping to make all of these. And this is about, this is like shooting free throws in an empty basketball gym, right? You're just trying to groove through repetition, with some feedback, a movement that allows you to deliver, that club face square on the ball, to start it on your line. Because if you can do that, you are on your way to making a whole bunch more putts. Because imagine, even, say you have like a 3, 4, 5 foot putt, and it's pretty flat, it's not going to break one way or the other, but you're not really sure, right? Well, if you trust that you can start it on your line, you can probably just aim at the center of the hole and make most of those putts, right? Gavin says, I just played another tournament this morning. My long irons were terrible. I figured out I was trying to hit the ball too hard and was giving it too much loft. Yeah, that can definitely happen. Especially, as you start overswinging it with those long clubs. But that's a really good sign, right? If you can kind of, in real time, diagnose what's going on with your swing and your striking. Can you show us how to swing a driver, like the stance and the grip? What's your handicap? Usually around 0, but it's crept up to like around 2. Because I've been playing not my best golf. It got as high as like almost 3 for a while. And I'd gone from like a +1 to a 3 in like 6 months. So I was really playing some not so good golf. But again, if I were to give myself some grace, I've had a lot of stuff going on personally, and switching clubs, not equipment, but not being a member of the same club anymore and having access to that practice facility, and coming off an injury. So there's always reasons, or you could call them excuses. But I'm really optimistic that all the changes that we've made and the work that we're putting in is going to pay off at the second half of the season and really post some good scores. So here I've got a driver just to demonstrate for you. So grip-wise, right, you're going to want the club kind of in your fingers, not in the palm, right? We don't want it in here, but more in the fingers like this, right, with that left hand on top. The right hand kind of sits like this. A good checkpoint, right? If you're looking down at the angles created by these two fingers, right, your thumb and index finger on both hands, you want that angle pointed about at your right shoulder, right? So once you have your grip on there, stance is going to be feet, shoulder width or a bit wider, right? You need a nice, strong, stable base. Ball position is going to be, towards the front, right? You know, you can even go as far as like on the left heel, you know. But, you know, forward of center for sure. Ideally, you'd have kind of your hips and your shoulders tilted, you know, with the left higher than the right. Because our goal is to launch this ball up into the air with not a lot of spin and as much speed as possible, right? So to accentuate that movement, right, you could set up, you know, a little bit leaned away, if you will, right? And then from there, it's just, you know, make the swing that you have, try to hit the center of the club face, and just trust that you've, you know, put in enough work to get that ball flying towards your target. Simulator Creator says, I can build you a practice facility in your house. Well, if you can do that and you want to sponsor the channel, send me an email because I would gladly talk about your products if you could figure out a way to do that. Because, you know, the house that we didn't buy had an awesome, you know, bar and garage space where I was going to build a simulator space. But I'm super glad we didn't buy that house. That would have been a nightmare. Do you have the space? I definitely have some space. And there probably could be more space if there was a real opportunity or, you know, kind of partnership thing. That's 140 in a row, guys. Let's keep it going. 208 is in sight. PR, personal record on the channel, 208 in a row. We're up to 140, guys. Good streak going. Hit that like button for me. Hit a like for 140. If you stay around to 150, make a deal. You got to subscribe, all right? I know you're there. When I do freezer drills and pump drills on the range, I get good contact, but then get to the course and it's a different beast. Amateur golfer, professional teacher. Oh, I appreciate that. My handicap is 5. So I think just, jokes on you, I already did. Awesome. Thanks very much for subscribing. So I think, again, you know, a DR, trying to, if you're finding good results with those drills on the range, how can you try to replicate that on the golf course, right? What are the key feels, right? Whether it's the pause at the top or, you know, the tempo, right? Try to key in on one or two of those aspects to bring with you to try and dial in your ball striking on the golf course. But the honest answer is it's just going to be harder, right? I've been struggling with this a little bit because I hit a ton of balls, you know, into a net on a perfectly flat lie and a clean lie, right? But golf isn't like that. You know, sometimes you got to stand like this. Sometimes you're standing like this and the target's over there, right? You know, we have all kinds of different terrain and lies to deal with. So just understand that the golf course is going to be harder than, you know, the driving range. Have you seen Duck Dynasty? I have not seen Duck Dynasty. I don't know much about it, but tell me more. I'm here for 210. Awesome, Key. I'm not giving them out for free. You'd have to pay for it, silly. Well, you'd have to talk to the keeper of the purse strings, my lovely wife. I would love to find a way to do, you know, like a seasonal one. You know, I have an awesome net set up out back already. You know, I have a canopy, like a big tent, guys, I'm going to set up over top of that. So hopefully on a day like today where it's raining, we could still go out and hit balls on the stream and do all kinds of fun stuff, even in bad weather. So, you know, I'm trying to find a way to get like a Rapsodo or some sort of launch monitor that would work with a net set up out there, because I think that could be super cool to really, you know, take some of the lessons and data to the next level on the channel. But I hear you, dude. You got to make a living too, you know, selling simulators. But unfortunately, I think after, you know, spending almost all of our money on buying a house, which I'm thrilled we were able to do, guys, no complaints. The golf simulator money is going to have to wait. But ideally, right, if we get this channel, you know, to 10,000, 20,000 subscribers, you know, that could be compelling enough for somebody to say, hey, we want to do a partnership, you know, sponsorship kind of situation with John. That could be cool, guys. The only one, you guys have seen me recently, started pushing out the affiliate stuff on the net return, because I really believe in the product. I think it's built to last. I think it's worth the price. I'm convinced I'm going to be hitting balls in that thing for a decade. If you've thought like, hey, maybe I could save money in the long run by investing in a hitting area at home, you definitely can, right? The math is very easy to see a path to like, oh, in a year or two, this thing is going to have paid for itself by a mile. Boom. This putt, guys, for a 150 in a row. Let me catch up here quick. What's your driver carry? These days, probably 280 on the golf course, 270. My highest ball speed this year on TrackMan is 172. That's it, 150, guys. Drop a like for 150 makes in a row. Yeah, 172 is the highest I've seen this year. But once we're able to get back outside, guys, part of the last few streams we've been doing was speed training with our super speed golf system. So if you're interested in that, hit that subscribe button. Stay tuned for more outdoor streams coming soon. How much this putting setup cost, bro? Less than $100 for all this stuff. I mean, not the equipment and all this stuff, but this was a cheap ball return from the internet. This is just a 3x8 piece of carpet from Lowe's with some carpet trim. The well stroke mat is the best piece, and that goes with the Pels tutor. To combine, those were probably $50 or $60. That's really where the magic happens. You don't even need the ball return or any of this other stuff. You could just get a Pels tutor and a well stroke mat and really start making a huge, huge improvement in your putting. I can definitely hook you up, give you a fire deal if you're ever interested. Good luck on your channel, boss. Subscribe. Thanks very much, Simulator Creator. Well, if you want to send me an email, I'd love to hear more about what you're thinking, what that might look like. Should I invest in a putting mat? I think if you're asking the question, then you probably already know the answer. How about this? It's not going to make your putting worse, I don't think. Like giving yourself, a dedicated tool for practice and a way to get feedback about your putting. Nice. See that line roll end over end? I mean, I'm not setting it up on purpose, but like let's do this one, right? It's a really good way to see just the quality of the roll on the putt. Nice. Nice to see just that line rolling end over end. I've gone away from using the line to, aim my golf ball on the golf course, but it is a really nice piece of feedback to see, was there any wobble in that roll? Was the face really square? What's your NFL team? The Patriots. I've been born and bred New England Patriots fan. So you're not going to hear me complaining about the current woes. I had the best 20-year run of a sports fan ever. From the time I was literally a young child to being in college, right? My team was still winning Super Bowls with a lot of the same, key characters. And I feel like that's not something that happens very often in sports. So you just enjoy the ride while you can, right? 160, guys. We are climbing towards our PR, towards that 208 number. If you're enjoying hanging out, you want to hit that subscribe button. It really does help me out. If you're into that kind of thing. Or if you're like, I freaking hate this guy, I'm going to subscribe just to see him, fail. You could do that too. Either way is fine. All right, 161 on the line here. Nice. That's simple. That was a really nice roll, guys. Just going rapid fire. We can even look at the camera. Boom. Oops, I don't know what that is. Why do you put left hand down, two right handy? RST said hi. Hey, RST. Yeah, so the left hand low really helps me level out my shoulders, right? When I putt conventional, my left shoulder is kind of high, and I struggle, you know, kind of getting solid contact on the putter. Whereas with the left hand low, right, everything here is much more level. And I have found for me, and everybody's different, everybody's, you know, body and feels are different. For me, that has really helped me find the center of the club much more consistently. Let's go, guys. 170, marching. We are marching towards the PR. All Tom Brady, Paul says. I am inclined to agree with you. He certainly was the one out there on the field. But again, I don't think you get Brady without Belichick and vice versa. I don't think you can look at it, you know, in a sum of the parts kind of way. But that's just my take. 171 here, guys. Let's go. Shout out to you guys overseas, you know, Scotland or otherwise, hanging in with us late into the evening. This has been a pretty epic run of over 170 makes in a row, so we're going to keep it going until we miss. Which at this time feels like it might never happen. Boom. If you guys like what we're doing here, you want to share the channel with a friend, that's always really cool. Just send it to somebody and say, hey, check out this crazy new YouTuber I found. It's doing some cool stuff. Also, guys, pretty exciting. I get to play golf again tomorrow morning. Nice and early, 6:30 a.m. We'll be getting out there. Maybe film another match. That could be fun. All right. Rumbling. 180. DR, I might try it. I feel I hit it closer to the heel a lot. Putting is the last thing I practice. It's the best thing to lower scores, but I'm always messing with the full swing. 180 just like darts. That's right, Squirrel Sniper. Half a circle, 180 degrees. These are just going right in the center, guys. Paul said same, LOL. Really good feedback. I love just being able to feel like I'm tracing this white line, you know, the alignment line on the putter, right over that orange line on the mat. And if I do that, I know that I'm, number one, going to deliver the center of the putter back to the ball. And that putter face should be pretty square when we get back there. Incorporeal said, release the Epstein files. I could not agree more. It seems crazy that we're just protecting people who maybe abused like thousands of children because of politics. That's like the most backwards thing I've ever heard. Yeah, release them all. Do you put your eyes directly over the ball? Yes, I try to. Maybe just slightly inside, but yeah, pretty much right on top, right over the golf ball. Boom. Let's go, guys. I honestly didn't think we would even get close to 208 again. 190. 190 in a row, guys. Check that out. How crazy is that? Let's keep it going. Is there any hip sway in a proper putt? Nope. Nope. You want to have that lower body be extremely stable. Right? And then the only thing that's creating movement is the shoulders. The shoulders kind of rock the arms. The arms are connected to the putter. No hip sway when you're putting. Just hit the flag on my third shot on a par 5. Luckily, it stayed in tap-in range. I know that can be dangerous when you flag sticks and all kinds of stuff can send your ball. Look at JJ Spawn at the US Open, right? He hit the flag stick with a wedge, ended up making bogey after he hit an unbelievably good golf shot. So you got to watch out for those flag sticks, guys. Let's go. What's your stock shot shape? Recently, it's been more of a draw. But frankly, because of the way that my golf swing works is that there's not a lot of face rotation. I like to keep the face very square to the path and hit a lot of, honestly, like straight shots. But if anything, recently, it's been feeling more like a draw, or like the draw has been coming more easily. Good luck, some birdies. Thanks very much, Paul. I usually putt by feel and don't line up my putts. I probably two-putt 90% of the time. Do you think I should have a different approach to putting? Hey, John. Hope your day's going well. Thanks very much, Scoundrel. Welcome back. I appreciate you. Scoundrel, we're on an unbelievably good streak right now. As you can see, we've made 193 in a row now. Yeah, so you don't need to use the line to line up your putts. And if you're two-putting most of the time, that's your objective, right? The ones that we want to try to make are those 3 to 10-foot ones, right, where you can really pick up a lot of strokes. But if you're two-putting, consistently from 20, 30, 40 feet, then just keep it up. That's all you need to do. That's your main goal. And just, continue working on making those shorter ones. And eventually, working on improving your iron play to, decrease your proximity, hit more greens, give yourself more birdie chances, right? All right, guys, this is for 200 makes in a row. 200 in a row. Drop a like for 200 makes. Honestly, the hardest part about this at this point is just physically how tired my back has become. That's it, guys. 200. Rolled it right in. we're going to update the Extremely Official Tracker to hundo, guys. If we make this next run, these next 10 are for the PR. This is what we came here to do, right? Every time we sign on here, it's been 208, 208, 208. Now it's in sight. We're right there. We need 10 more, or 9. We need 9 to beat it. Can feel the heart rate elevating a little. I really want to break this record. Just got to keep doing what we've been doing, you know? Make one good putt at a time. Keep that white line on top of the orange line. And if we do that, we should really trust that that ball is going to start on line, end up going on our target line. Let's see how the stroke looks. Yeah, it looks good. I mean, I'm happy with that. That's 203. This is for 204. Nice. $205. $206. $207. Oh man, I can feel the nerves coming. This is to tie the PR, guys. An hour this time. Any advice for getting weight to my lead side on before the downswing? I feel at the top of the backswing, I push off the trail foot, and my weight isn't on the lead side through impact. Yeah, so DR, you got to practice that away from golf. I had to work on this myself too, right? And all you're going to practice is this movement, right? Backswing, and then practice the weight shift. Boom, weight shift. You can even, lift the heel up to practice, right? Getting that weight over to here, so you can almost pick up that back foot after, right? So practice away from the ball. All right, guys, this is to tie the all-time personal best on the channel for 208 makes in a row. Rolled it right down the middle. All right, so we're tied up. Oh, a distraction to try and beat the record. You gonna distract Dad? You are? Hi, I know, hi. Thank you. Thank you. You're a superstar for the people. Say doggos. Say doggos. Hi. Hi. I know. We got a little more work to do. I know. Let's go. New record on the channel, guys. 209 with that make right there. Let's go. Just got to step up and roll them in. The golf ball doesn't know that I'm nervous. Come on now. $210 and a new personal record. We're going to update that at the end. Come on now. Trampled the line. Yeah, she really did, right? Pull through with left hand. Get rid of the handicap, yes. If you mean my putting, no, I still have to putt on the green. Putting is my handicap. When I had Arcos, guys, the sensors that you put in your clubs and it gives you all kinds of data. Well, once they started charging like $200 a year, I was out on that. But when I had the data, it would tell me consistently, that my ball striking was like, they give you a handicap for each aspect of your game, right? And my driver was always like, +3. Irons were maybe like around scratch or +1. My short game was like +2. And my putting was like a 6 or a 7 handicap. So when you added all that together, I usually ended up, somewhere around like between +1 and 1. And now I'm more like, 2 something. Let's go. 211. So really had spent a bunch of time on the putting, trying to get better at that. It's been a bit of a weakness, and I'm trying to turn it into a bit of a strength. Quality, John. Thanks very much, Paul. Jack said, you're not bad, sir. I appreciate that, Jack. Product good. Introducing a new subscription service. Yeah, seriously. I can hit a 200-yard drive. Well, that's awesome. You're well on your way to having fun in the game of golf. Let's go, guys. We're just going to keep it going. This is for 215 in a row. And I'll be honest, this is turning into more of a physical test than anything. We've been stood here putting for about 2 hours on the same streak, but, you know, we're going to power on because that's what you guys came to see. You didn't come to see misses. You didn't say, like, oh, I'm going to turn this on and hope this guy misses all these putts. We're trying to make as many as we can. Really groove our mechanics. Get a good confidence boost, right? Seeing all these putts go in. And they're pretty much all rolling pretty close to the center, too, which is great. This is for 220. Kyson said hello. Hey, Kyson. Thank you guys for being here. We are marching towards 3,000 subscribers, which is a crazy number, given we've still only been doing this for, I don't know, like 6 months. 7 months almost. We started in January. Oh, we didn't update the tracker. Scoundrel. Shout out to you, my dude. All right, so now we're at 220. Ugh. $221. Love it. Again, guys, the putter just wants to stay square, it feels like, with this guy. See that line rolling end over end? That's what we're hoping to see. Oh my god. Oh, I start thinking about the stroke, and I left it short. I left it short. 223 we made. I'm tired, guys. I'm tired. 223, new streak. New PR on the channel. You guys were here for it. You guys got to see it. We're going to lock that in. New PR. 223 5-footers in a row. Get yourself an official scoreboard like this. My dad had the Happy Gilmore swing back in the day. Crazy numbers. Cap, he said. Well, Lakshmana, you can go back and watch the entire 2-hour stream if you want. You can watch 223 golf balls roll in consecutively. My carry's 250 to 270. 9 irons about 140. Why can't I hit it, say, 300-yard carry? Congrats, good effort. Thanks, DR. So that all sounds kind of right, based on that club head speed. But generally speaking, there's two choices if you want to hit it further, right? You can swing it faster, right? Create more club head speed. That's speed training, intentional practice with your own driver, right? Really maxing out the speed. Weightlifting in the gym, or mobility, getting your body to be able to create more speed. That's option one. Option two, you can optimize the club head speed that you do have, which looks like making sure you're launching it at, between 14 and 18 degrees, with spin in the low 2000s, right? That's how you'll optimize the carry that you can get out of your current amount of club head speed. Jack said, my dad had a 2,000 yard once. I believe it. How much does swing weight matter? I don't think it matters that much, honestly. I think it's, a preference thing. All right, guys, one more chance. Hit that subscribe button for me. Hit the like button. All that good stuff. That's going to do it for tonight's stream. Thanks for being here. We will see you guys soon. Hopefully we can get back outside doing some more outside golf. Tomorrow? DR said, what's in the bag? Great idea for next time, DR. Keep that one loaded. We'll see you next time.